Fellow Ambazonians, today I come to you, not with sadness, but with pride, not in retreat, but in defiance, and not as one who quits, but as one who passes the torch of battle to the next commander in our just cause for freedom. I bring my last official address, my stewardship of the struggle to you as leader of the interim government of Ambazonia. And I intend to speak with candor, plainly, boldly, and truthfully too. First, I bow in salutation to all of you, our mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters in Ground Zero, who endure the enemy's bullets, the burnings, the humiliations, yet still rise each day and declare, we are Ambazonians. I salute our refugees languishing in foreign camps, yet still flying the blue and white flag. I salute the diaspora who keep the fire alive, funding, speaking, lobbying, and sacrificing. I acknowledge the men and women of the Restoration Council of Ambazonia, the Cabinet, our LGA and county chairs. You have walked with me through storms. I recognize every Ambazonian group, activist, journalist, prisoner of conscience, freedom fighters in the bushes, and every soul that has carried this cause on their shoulders. Whether you agree with the interim government or not, whether you march under one banner or another, let it be said, you are the living heartbeat of this revolution. When I took over this leadership, ladies and gentlemen, our movement was in crisis. Our house was divided. Instead of one interim government, there were four, each faction shouting, each claiming legitimacy, each pulling the people in different directions. Instead of fighting the enemy, they fought one another. Our people lost faith, momentum slowed, and the world began to doubt whether we were serious about liberation. I swore from day number one that I would not be another power-hungry leader adding fuel to the fire. I swore I would serve only a single term of 3 years and hand the baton to the next leader chosen by the people. My tenure began September 26, 2022. It ended September 25, a few days ago. I could have chosen, ladies and gentlemen, differently. I could have clung to the chair. I could have begged for an extension. I could have invented excuses like some do. In fact, many people appealed to me to stay. They said, and I quote, wait until after the transition in La République du Cameroon. Just one more term, they said. But I refuse. I refuse because a promise made to the people is sacred. I refuse because Ambazonia cannot be free if its leaders are slaves to their own ambitions. And so, true to my promise, I step aside. On September 14, the Restoration Council, the local government area and county chairs, plus cabinet, gathered to elect a new leader for the interim government. From that exercise, Dr. Anthony Epa emerged. Yesterday, Sunday, September 28, he was sworn in as the new leader of the interim government of Ambazonia. On October 1, he will address the nation, not as my shadow, but as your leader of the interim government. Let me speak unambiguously about this comrade. Dr. Epa is not an opportunist parachuting into our struggle. He is tested, proven, and grounded. From the great county of Kupe Moniguba, sharpened by years of service in Chicago, Dr. Epa carries a PhD in educational leadership and years as a university professor and a record as a community builder. He founded organizations, advised U.S. lawmakers, served as Secretary General of CAMSA USA, that is Cameroon Student Association of those days, and represented the SDF in Chicago as secretary, and until recently, he was my chief of staff in this interim government. This is not a stranger. He is a battle-tested comrade, a transformational leader, and to him, I have passed the torch. But make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this transition is not about me or Dr. Epa. It is about the destiny of Ambazonia. If we want to be free, we must live free now. If we want democracy tomorrow, we must practice democracy today. What is the use of crying for independence if we copy the very dictatorship we are trying to overthrow in La République du Cameroon? What hypocrisy to denounce Paul Biya's sit-tight rule while crowning ourselves president for life in exile and of an animal that is still in the bush. I will say it plainly. There are some men and women out there among us who call themselves leaders, who cling to titles like drowning men cling to straw. They have no followers, no structure, no fresh ideas, yet they sit in their corners, refusing elections, declaring themselves presidents of Ambazonia. Ambazonia is not one man's personal property, ladies and gentlemen. Our nation is not a throne to be inherited. Any man who cannot submit to the will of the people has no place in Boya. When leaders refuse to step down, the struggle bleeds. We fracture. We lose credibility. We betray our martyrs who died for a free and democratic Ambazonia. That is exactly what I vowed never to do. And that is why today I can stand tall and say, promise kept. But hear me clearly, ladies and gentlemen. Stepping down is not stepping away. My hands may no longer hold the seal of the interim government of Ambazonia, but my heart still beats Ambazonia. You will still see me. You will still hear me. I will still educate. I will still inform and still fight. And whenever the new leadership calls, I will answer. That is what patriotism looks like. That is what servant leadership means. This is the hour of decision. We will cling to ego and division, or we will embrace unity and discipline. We will keep recycling leaders who think the revolution belongs to them, or we will rally behind those chosen by the people. Our future depends on the answer we give. Fellow Ambazonians, when I assumed leadership of this interim government, I did so with one mission burning in my heart: to pursue unity. I told you then, and I remind you today, that unity is not a luxury for our struggle. It is the very oxygen without which this revolution cannot breathe. From my first day in office, I declared that my highest duty would be to bring Ambazonians together, to heal the divisions, and to reconstitute the single powerful interim government that once commanded the respect of our people and the attention of the international community. Now, let me be honest with you. I cannot sit here and say that I succeeded in that mission. No, I cannot. But what I can say to you without fear of contradiction is that I never stopped trying. I pursued unity with every ounce of energy, with every connection, with every diplomatic effort. I pursued unity not for myself, not for the interim government, but for Ambazonia. Why, you ask? Because I have lived and seen with my own eyes that the power of unity. I remember those early days when the interim government stood as one leadership, one treasury, one voice, and one flag. Let us not deceive ourselves. The heights we reach in this struggle, the momentum we gain, the recognition we attracted, all of that was built on the back of the interim government functioning as a single entity. The world took us seriously because we were serious with ourselves. But when this unity set in owing to some leaders choosing corruption over accountability, choosing fraud over transparency, when some choose to sit tight and crown themselves presidents, kings, and queens over Ambazonia, the interim government fractured. And with that fracture came disaffection, alienation, dwindling resources, and the erosion of credibility. The enemy did not defeat us. Our divisions weakened us. That is why I pursued unity with such tenacity. I believed, and I still do, ladies and gentlemen, that if we could bring the factions back together, we could consolidate our resources into one treasury, managed with stringency and transparency. Imagine the power of one structure, one account, one budget, one plan, where every dollar, every franc, every sacrifice of our people is used strategically for liberation, not scattered across competing groups. It was with this vision in mind that I called more than once for an all-Ambazonia conference, a gathering of all the leaders, all factions, all stakeholders, where we would set aside ego and titles and forge a single pact for collaboration. Remember the coalition of the willing? I championed this idea everywhere, every day, telling anyone who would listen to the sound of my voice that our salvation lay not in fragmentation, but in federation of minds and efforts. But what happened? Leaders were not interested in unity unless it carried their own names, their own initiative, their own spotlight. Some said, and I quote, "If there will be a conference, it must be mine." Others said, "We cannot unite until we settle who leads Ambazonia to the Canadian talks." And so, ladies and gentlemen, instead of building unity, we fought over cheers, and the conference idea died a slow death. However, I did not give up. Mid last year, I launched another bold initiative, this time focusing just on the different IG factions. My proposal was radical but fair. I suggested that we convene a conclave like in Zaria. Let every faction dissolve. Let every leader, including myself, step aside. And from that conclave, let us reconstitute one IG, or call it any other name, fresh, clean, united, led by a new team, not tied to any faction. This, I believe, would breathe fresh hope into our cause. I then consulted with all the IG leaders, including Sisiko, Yerima, Marianta. I could not reach Sako directly, but I sent emissaries. Everyone except Sako, who never responded to this day, agreed that the idea was sound. It was a good one. In fact, there was excitement. We held not one, not twice, not thrice, but about 5 preparatory meetings to lay the groundwork for the conclave. For a moment, it seemed unity was within reach. But then, the stumbling blocks arose. One leader surprisingly said she wanted collaboration only collaboration, as though collaboration has not been our empty song for years. Another camp insisted that their leader was the natural leader of Ambazonia and that any arrangement must recognize him as such. And just like that, the whole initiative collapsed under the weight of ego and entitlement. Still, I did not relent. In Ghana, I tried to resurrect the initiative. I thought maybe, on neutral ground, maybe with fresh faces, we could spark a breakthrough. But again, the refrain was the same: collaboration only. Comrades, please tell me, how do you collaborate when 4 different men and women sit at the same table, all answering to President of the interim government? What kind of absurdity is that? I ask them again and again. How do you expect the world to take us seriously when we cannot even tell who speaks for us? They had no answer, but they also had no willingness to surrender their titles. More recently, in the Philippines, at a meeting organized by the Consultative Commission in July, I thought unity would finally be birthed. We had pre-discussions, even agreements with the J leadership. I expected a unity platform to emerge in July from the Philippines meeting. But again, the same stonewallers insisted, let's just collaborate. Let's take time to build confidence. Confidence after 1 full year of meetings? What confidence is left to build when our people are dying, when our fighters are hungry, when our nation bleeds daily? What confidence? My conclusion is bitter but clear. We have leaders who have no following, no real power base, yet they insist on keeping their titles. And by keeping those titles, they hope to buy themselves a seat at every table, blocking progress for the rest. They are not serving Ambazonia. They are serving themselves. They are serving their selfishness. That has been the extent of my stewardship on this subject of unity over the years. Relentless effort, tireless pursuit, but constant sabotage by ego and small-mindedness. And I tell you now without hesitation, Ambazonia cannot be free if Ambazonia remains divided. The interim government must not remain part of a consultative commission that exists only to keep things as they are, stagnant, divided, and weak. We no longer need all these scattered groups. We need one force. We need a fresh, bold, unifying platform that galvanizes all Ambazonians into one unstoppable army against our colonizer. Anything short of this is not leadership, it is grandstanding. Anything short of this is not service, it is selfishness. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I hand over the seat of leadership, I declare before you all this mission of unity remains unfinished. This will now be my next fight. I will not rest until we convene a true all-Ambazonia conference. Not a photo opportunity, not a charade, but a serious gathering where every group dissolves its selfishness into one national front. If it means dissolving this interim government to achieve that, so be it. If it means setting aside every title and crown, so be it. Why now, you ask? Because the sands of history are shifting. La République du Cameroon itself is at the brink of transition. The cracks in their house are widening. And if we, Ambazonians, do not put our house in order now, we risk being swept aside when the tide of change comes. This is not the time for ego. This is not the time for stubbornness. This is the time to unite, or we perish as fragments. To my fellow leaders, I am gone. I'm no longer the leader of anything. I have no interest in position or title. In fact, I have opted before to step aside if that could bring us together. Now I say this to you with urgency. Lay down your ego. Put aside your empty titles. Step away from the illusion that Ambazonia belongs to you. Ambazonia belongs to its people, and they demand unity. If you truly love this nation, prove it now, not by holding titles, but by surrendering them for greater good. To all Ambazonian patriots, activists, fighters, and diaspora communities, demand unity from your leaders. Hold them accountable. Reject division. Make a push. Join your energy towards that all-Ambazonia conference. Do not accept excuses. Do not be fooled by collaboration that leads nowhere. Insist on unity. Insist on accountability. Insist on sacrifice. Our martyrs did not die for fragments. They did not die for competing factions. They died for one flag, one nation, one Ambazonia. And if we allow ego and pride to bury their sacrifice, then shame on us all. Fellow Ambazonians, this is my call, my charge, my unfinished business. Let us unite now before it is too late. Let us summon the courage to dissolve what divides us and build what will deliver us. For without unity, there will be no Ambazonia. It is clear. But with unity, nothing can stop us. To the restoration fighters of Amazonia, my brave comrades in arms, hear me. I salute you for your courage, for your stubborn refusal to surrender, for standing when others fled. Some have run to the DDR camps of La République du Cameroon. Some have hidden in foreign lands. But you remain. You are the ones who embody the ancient creed till the last man standing. Just as David faced Goliath with nothing but a sling and faith, so too you face the giant of occupation. The enemy comes with tanks, with guns, with foreign mercenaries, with all the arrogance of Pharaoh's army. But you, our restoration fighters, like Moses at the Red Sea, lift your staff of resistance, and the waters of history part for you. Remember, victory is not in the size of the oppressor's arsenal. It is in the righteousness of our cause. And our cause is a just one. You carry on your shoulders the hopes of 8 million people. From the widowed mother in Bamenda to the orphan child in Kumba. From the farmer in Libialem to the fisherman in India, they look up to you. You are their wall of defense. You are the shield that protects their dignity. You are the sword of justice. The survivor of Amazonia rests upon your courage, and the crown of freedom will one day be placed upon your heads. But let me make a plain appeal to all of you, our freedom fighters, our restoration fighters. This war cannot be won by might alone. We must fight not only with our guns, but with our conscience. Ours must be a moral army. We must distinguish ourselves from the barbarian occupier, protect our civilians, guard the weak, shield the innocent. Let the world see that Amazonian fighters are not predators, but protectors. Hunt down, and I mean hunt down and expel the rooks of Paul Atanganji, those fake fighters who kidnap our mothers, ransom our children, and disgrace the name of the restoration fighters that you are. They are not you. They are not us. They are the Judas among us. And when you purge them, the world will know Amazonian fighters are men and women of discipline, defenders of justice and warriors of liberation. This is how we win the moral high ground. This is how we silence the lies of La République du Cameroon. And this is how international partners will stand with us, not only out of sympathy, but out of respect. Fellow restoration fighters, my comrades in arms, I rejoice to see that you are beginning to unite. Like the Minutemen of the American Revolution who rose from village to resist tyranny, you too are beginning to see one another, not as strangers from different counties or local government areas, but as brothers in one just cause. From Bui to Fako, from Mezam to Indian, you are pulling strength, sharing resources, building unity in the trenches. This is the path to invincibility. Beware of one danger though. Do not allow yourselves to be chained by diaspora politics. Ignore anyone, any leader who sits in comfort abroad and claims you as his fighters. You do not fight for any diaspora leader, nor for any leader in jail. You fight for Ambazonia. You are not a faction's army. You are Ambazonia's army. Throughout my term of office, no one ever saw me or heard me claiming any action as taken by us. We could have chosen to do so, to project strength, as I have seen some groups' leaders do. They take your videos, put their stamp or seal on them, and claim them as their own work. In fact, some of them are in jail now. I choose deliberately not to do so because we recognize that you fight not for Chris Anu, not for the interim government, but for Ambazonia. That is not to reject wise counsel though or selfless support from diaspora leaders. No. Collaboration between fighters on the ground and patriots abroad is very vital. The military front holds the gun. The diaspora front holds diplomacy and communication. But never let anyone in exile brand you as his private militia. Reject it. For when you stand as Ambazonia's fighters, the whole nation supports you. But when you bow to one man's title, you divide yourselves and weaken your power. You are the flame that keeps our people's hope alive. You are the last men standing in the battlefield of history. Stand like David, endure like Moses, strike like the Viet Minh who humbled empires, persevere like the Minutemen who birthed this great country called America. For Ambazonia shall be free, and the freedom of this land, of our country, will be written in your blood, in your sweat, and your sacrifice. To all of you at ground zero, I bow my head in gratitude to you. You are the backbone of this revolution, the unshakable pillar of our resistance. You have carried the weight of this struggle with a courage that defies imagination. No army, no liberation movement, no struggle can stand without the support of its people. And let me say this with all the force of truth. The reason our restoration fighters still hold their ground, the reason the flame of Ambazonia still burns, is because you, all of you, the people on the ground, still stand behind this revolution. You did not bring this wall upon yourselves. La République du Cameroon did. They forced it upon you after 6 decades of annexation, marginalization, and humiliation. For 61 years, you endured the chains of oppression until your spirit rose up and said, enough is enough. You endured pain every day. The harassment at checkpoints, the kidnappings, the ransom takings, the raids in your homes, the destruction of your villages by the enemy forces. Yet, you have remained unbowed. This is resilience. This stubborn refusal to surrender is the assurance of our final victory. I tell you, no weapon, no propaganda, no army of La République du Cameroon can defeat a people who refuse to give up their dignity. Beware of the lies they spread. They will whisper in your ears that the struggle is unwinnable, that your sacrifices will end in vain, that you should accept slavery and return to the chains of Yaoundé. It is a ploy, a psychological war designed to weaken your spirit, so that their tyranny may just continue as usual. Reject it, for we know them too well. 61 years of betrayal, of deceit, of false promises, and they dare to say we should go back? Go back to where? Never again. We cannot never go back. We will never go back. Fellow Ambazonians, freedom is never won without sacrifice. And I speak to you, not as a distant leader, but as one who has paid his fair share of that sacrifice. I have lost my brother, my father, my own mother, our family home, all in the course of this struggle. My sister was dragged before their colonial military tribunal. My mother was locked up in their prison for months, denied the medication that kept her alive. When she was finally released, she was deteriorating in health. Still, they seized her passport and visa as she was about traveling to Canada for treatment. We succeeded to smuggle her out to Ghana as a refugee. There, her health situation worsened, and she breathed her last breath last month. I live in the United States. I have lived here for about 29 years. I am a citizen. I have no investment back home, no property, nothing material to come back and take. By every measure of comfort, I could have walked away from this struggle. I could have said, this is not my battle. But I did not. I refused to abandon this cause because I believe that in this world, someone must be selfless enough to stand for some other person, even if it means gaining nothing. I believe in the freedom of Ambazonia. And just as I have refused to give up, I ask you today, please, please, do not give up either. Yes, you have suffered. Yes, you have sacrificed. Yes, you are weary. But so have I, and so have countless others whose names we may never know. The point is not the suffering. The point is the victory that lies at the end of the suffering. If we give up now, history will judge us harshly. That when the hour of destiny called, we abandon our children's future. That must never be our legacy. To the diaspora I say, do not grow weary. Do not say you have sacrificed enough. Keep pushing, keep giving, keep standing firm. Your resources, your voices, your advocacy are the wind in the sails of this struggle. To those on ground zero I say, please remain unbroken. Continue to support our fighters. Continue to resist every symbol of La République du Cameroon. Reject their sham elections. Reject their corrupt leaders. Reject every institution of that cursed system. Stand tall, stand proud, stand defiant. For freedom is on the horizon. So I call on you today, from ground zero to the diaspora, stand behind Dr. Apa. Give him your loyalty, your resources, your strength. Support him, not with mere words, but with action. Hold him accountable, yes, but also stand by him. Let us prove to the world that Ambazonia is not a joke, not a playground of self-appointed kings, but a serious people determined to build a free and democratic state. As I bow out of office, I do so not in defeat but in victory. For true victory is not holding power, it is keeping the faith. And today, I hand over power with clean hands, a clear conscience, and a blazing hope. Long live Ambazonia. Long live the spirit of a people who cannot, shall not, and will not be conquered. Short live the struggle. Thank you, and may God bless Ambazonia.